Teammates, one of the things I want to talk to you today about is how to get referrals. Referrals is probably one of the most important skill sets that you're going to learn in this business, or you're going to learn how to acquire in this business, is getting referrals. No referrals, no business. No referrals, no recruits. So if referrals serves as a very, very instrumental part of our business. And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't master the art of learning how to get referrals. Unfortunately, in Primerica, oftentimes, someone will they'll start with their warm market or in their hot market. And then once that dries up, then they're kind of like, hey, off to the races, going somewhere else. Because they didn't learn exactly how to master the art of getting referrals or working with a field trainer that can ultimately teach you how to go about getting referrals. So one of the things I'm going to talk about today is really how to go about getting referrals, whether you're with a brand new person on a training appointment, or if you're working in the field by yourself and getting referrals. Now, ultimately, the objective is, if you're going to build a business, you shouldn't go solo. You should always, work in encompassing or working with someone else. Bring someone else with you on the appointment. That way you're always duplicating yourself. You're always being a teacher. That person's always learning how to master the copy, and they're learning how to do the business effectively. So training and working with somebody is always key, but getting referrals is really a big skill set, and really learning that. So oftentimes, there's various things in the business as far as talking about referral hits. That just means essentially mentioning that throughout the course of your presentation. I believe personally that referrals come at the beginning of the presentation as opposed to waiting to the end of the presentation. So if I'm going to sit down with somebody and I'm doing a training presentation, or I'm doing an overview, if it's a new person, I'm going to say, hey, there's 4 reasons why I'm here. And I'm going to spend time really talking about those 4 reasons. Number 1, I'm here training this brand new associate. I think Jill is going to do phenomenal. I think she's incredible. The second reason why I'm here, we are currently expanding. So you may be open, or maybe someone who's looking for a part-time income or possibly a career change. Thirdly, we're here for referrals. Any event you feel good about what Jill is going to be doing, can she count on you to refer her to 10 to 15 people? And then lastly, if you like and feel good about what we do, perhaps you may want to become a client. So I'm going to tie referrals in that way, as far as, that person understanding that. Now, if this was if this client came to me as a referral, meaning I'm sitting out with somebody, they came as a referral, and I'm sitting with them, and I'm going to preface, thank you so much for your time. I really, enjoyed your friend. Certainly appreciate, you really inviting me by. I'm looking forward to helping you today. Any event you feel good about, what I do, is there any reason why you want to at least refer me to 10 to 15 people? And I'm going to pull out this referral list right here. So, I'm going to pull the referral list out. I'm going to put it on the front of at the beginning of the presentation. So again, I'm talking about it on the front end, not on the back end. Unfortunately, many people typically don't know how to ask for referrals. So they say things such as this: if you could think of anyone that may like what I do, if you feel as though there's someone maybe that can benefit from what I do, can you refer them to me? And oftentimes what you're now creating, number 1, an objection for that person to say, well, I can't think of anyone right now. Or if you say things such as, well, if there's someone that you can think of that could use what I do, could you refer them to me? Secondly, what you're suggesting is that person's not going to give you that name and number right then and there, because they just can't think of anybody. The majority, I would say 99% of all my referrals come at the front end. They come from the appointment. They come from me sitting with that person kneecap to kneecap and them feeling comfortable and confident, okay? Because that person has to feel comfortable and they have to feel confident that you're credible, what you're going to do is going to be beneficial for the next person that they're referring you to. So they feel a sense of motivation to want to refer you to other people. People are not just going to, openly give you people the majority of times because of their kindness or their consciousness. A lot of times people are going to refer because they see value in what you do. And you have to set that up on the front end. So setting up the value and really talking about, referrals, you have to continuously brag about that. My business is 100% referral based. I don't door knock. I don't cold call. You feel good about what I'm doing. This is essentially how I feed my family. I work 100% off the referrals. So in the event that you feel good about what we're going to be doing here today, is there any reason why, you can think of why you wouldn't, refer me to 10 to 15 people? Great. So I pull out the referral form. I put that in front of them. Okay. So I'm going to be totally assumptive. So as we go through this here today, most likely there's going to be people that are going to come to mind that you feel as though would benefit. Notice I didn't say anyone you can think of or people that maybe. There's going to be, most likely, there's going to be people that you can, that's going to come to mind. And I just would ask that you jot them down. So throughout the course of the presentation, I'm going to give on occasion what we call referral hits. Okay. So a hit may be, if I'm showing someone the rule of 72, I would say, who do you feel as though, Joan, who do you think is, could really benefit from that information? And they say, wow, maybe my sister. Oh, really? What's her name? Why don't you go ahead and jot her name down? And, certainly, I'll be happy to, connect with her as well. So one of the biggest reasons a lot of times why people don't give you referrals is because, number one, they don't feel confident. But secondly, they're not exactly sure about your process of working with referrals. So typically to really address that, when people put down referral forms and you really outline the referrals, you have to really convey and be very succinct in terms of what's going to happen with that. So if someone's going to refer me and I mentioned, 10 to 15 referrals, I'm going to really cover their objections. So Joan, one of the things you're probably wondering is exactly how does this process work in terms of referrals. I'm not naive just to pick up the phone and call someone randomly that because they don't know me. So that may be putting you in a bad position, or that may jeopardize your credibility. And certainly I wouldn't want to do that. I know you don't want me to do that. So typically this is how the process works. These names here that you're going to write down, the name and a number, I'm not going to ask you to call them because you lead a very busy life. You have a lot of things going on. It's pretty, difficult for you to do that. Because now we're in this era of texting, I have a referral script here in my phone, and I'm going to forward it to you right now. So basically, here's what the script says, and I'm going to show them, and I'm going to read out the script. It's going to say, hey, this is Derek Parker. I'm referring you to, this is Joan so-and-so, I'm sorry. So it's going to reference the person who's referring you. So this is Joan so-and-so. I'm referring you to my friend Derek Parker, who helps families save and make money. Please take his call and give him 5 minutes to convey exactly what he does. I'm sure you'll be impressed, but at least make up your own mind. So when I'm going to forward that to her, and in return, she's going to write the names down on the list. So that way I have the list. I'm able to walk away from the home that day with the list completely filled out, and I know exactly who I'm going to be connecting with. Because usually if I don't do it that way, then you're calling that person back and you're waiting. You're saying that person told me Thursday, that person told me Friday, and 99% of the time it usually does not happen. You don't get referrals when you leave the home. You get referrals when you're in the home. So you have to have a sense of competency, but confidence that, hey, you know what? It's almost like I'm not leaving your house until you give me referrals. And people know that when you're sincere and you're very clear about it, they're willing to at least oblige and give you, names. you may not walk away with 15, but you may walk away with 7. So the reason why you want to ask for more is because you'll usually get half. You'll aim in between. Okay, so that's usually a great way of how we go about doing it. We basically convey exactly, the script. We forward it on to the client. We make sure that all our associates have that script in their phone. So once we cover exactly how we go about giving referrals, the majority of time, most people, when they hear that, it relieves their consciousness. Automatically they say, oh yeah, that makes sense. So here's how I cover an objection. So let me ask you this. If I call these people and you didn't give me permission to call them, how much further would we go? She would say, oh, of course, we wouldn't go any further. That would be detrimental to the business that we did. You would cancel everything. You would tell everybody. So how would that work in my favor? So quite naturally, if people know that, hey, you're being sincere, you're going to honor that, you work 100% off referrals, I forward you the referral script, I'm going to wait for that person. That person preferably is going to text those individuals individually, and they're going to send out the referral script. You don't want to have them do it on a blast, because if they do it on a blast, people get group text messages. They usually don't like those. They're not very responsive to those, and they'll just look at it and they'll disregard it. So I'll help them. I'll say, okay, who's this person? Okay, who's this person? So I'll help them individually. Hey, it's scripted out. It's all they got to do is copy and paste and send it off to the next person. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm there that night or that day in front of them, those people that she or he referred me to will oftentimes reply back right there instantly and say, hey, great, I've been looking for someone like that. Hey, I'm looking forward to his call. Or, hey, I'll be happy to take his call. Have him call me after this time. So you have to make sure that you're competent in terms of explaining that, and that's the simple process. And when the majority of the time when I explain that, most people are going to oblige. They're going to give you referrals. It may not happen 100% of the time, but it's certainly 9 out of 10 times, you're going to get referrals, and you have to make sure that you are very clear and concise, and that you're very sincere in terms of explaining that process. So again, just to kind of recap, on the referral list, I'm usually not just going to get the name and the number. That's kind of rookie-ish. So here's why. If I call you, you're on the list, you're Tom, and I call you and I just see your name, your number, your Tom, and maybe, we have a spot here for married, age, child, homeowner, occupation. So those are the categories that we have on the list. So if I just basically if I had the client check those off, but I don't know anything about Tom, it's pretty generic, it's pretty bland. Tom may be his or her sister or brother. Tom may be like the best man from the wedding. Tom may be the neighbor. So I'm going to qualify each person. So here's how I'm going to qualify them. Joan, how exactly do you know Tom? What's very unique about him? Maybe, she listed here, what's your relationship with him? What type of work does he does? So I'm going to ask specific questions about him. And usually I'll gather things such as this. Oh, you know what? Me and Tom, we're best friends from high school. I've known Tom over 20 years. Matter of fact, Tom planned our wedding. Tom's a pastor. Tom is a school teacher. So when I call that person, I'm going to have this information down. So when I call Tom and I'm referencing his name, he was referred, from Joan. First, I'm going to ask, hey, Tom, did you get the text from Joan? Yes. Is this Derek? Hey, Tom. Hey, great. Thank you so much for taking my call. Matter of fact, I understand you guys are best friends, known each other for the last 20 years. What do you think Tom's response is going to be? That's going to immediately give me instant credibility. That's going to excite Tom to say, wow, this guy knows a lot about me, or he knows some things about me. I'm really interested in terms of engaging and learning more about him. So building rapport over the phone for a referral is so great, because most people, rookies, want to make a quick phone call and they want to rush off the phone. No, I don't want to rush off the phone. I want to build a friendship with that person but I want to be certainly vague, not, certainly concise in terms of the information I'm conveying, but I'm not going to do an appointment over the phone. The majority of my talk is dialoguing about them, their family, getting to know them. So they hang up the phone saying, what a great guy. I can't wait to meet him. What a great gal. This has really been, something great. So make sure that when you get your referrals that you qualify, and I would write notes like in here, like this says job title. I don't, exactly just put job title, but I'll say, hey, look, best friend, known 20 years, go to church with, really close. And I'll put like little stars, maybe, identifying something unique about that person. So when I know to call, I know that this is probably one of the top persons on the list that I'm going to reference. So that way I know a lot about them, and getting in the door for making a referral phone call is really simplified. Okay. Because most people, again, are not just going to give you referrals. You have to motivate them, and you want to explain the process very, very simplified in terms of how to call the referrals. Now, referrals typically, hey, it's a hot potato. If you don't eat it now, it's gonna get cold, right? It's gonna spoil. So 24, 48 hours, you get referrals, you want to call them right away. Those text messages went out, and you wait, say 2-3 weeks to call those people, they're dying, right? Oh, well, I forgot about that. I don't know, what's this about, or something? Oh, well, that was 2 weeks ago. So you want to call them right away, okay? Because calling referrals, sometimes it's a process. You may not get a person right away. We have, certainly scripts to convey in terms of, what to say and how to say it. Certainly, not going to go through, all those right now. But when you do call, you just want to be persistent. One of the number one reasons why people fail in businesses such as these is they don't follow up. They call one time and they think, okay, that's it. Nothing's going to happen. That person didn't call me back. So you want to follow up. You want to make sure you follow up. So I may make a call on Monday, and then I'll wait 2-3 days, and then boom, I'm calling that person again. That person, clearly may have great intentions as far as calling you back, but things came up, life happens, and for whatever reason, they didn't call. So certainly make sure that you be persistent as far as, calling that person, back. You don't have to use, leave a message every time, but, call back, be persistent, and really have a process in terms of following up with referrals. So today I just really want to talk to you a little bit about how to get referrals, having the referral form on the table, clearly explain the process. Stay away from bland statements such as, can you think of anybody? Could you, possibly, write down 3 or 4 people who you think may, those things don't work. And just be very concise in terms of knowing that referrals come on the front end, before the presentation, and throughout the course of the presentation, you may get what we call referral hits, where you're referencing things that people can benefit in certain ways of taking advantage of what we do. It is the lifeblood of your business. You get good at getting referrals, great things will begin to happen. Your business will begin to manifest. So, hey, have a great time getting referrals, and I'll see you at the top.